Buenos días y muy bienvenidos a la jornada de sostenibilidad que organiza la Embajada Británica. Vamos a iniciar la apertura y sin más les paso la palabra a Martin Wu, que es el director de Comercio e Inversiones de UKTI, el organismo de promoción de comercio e inversiones en el exterior de la Embajada Británica de Madrid.
Gracias, Fernando. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this seminar and exhibition on British low-carbon products and services. As Fernando has just said, my name is Martin Waugh, and as Fernando has just said, I am the director of UKTI Iberia. UKTI is the British government department that helps British companies win business abroad. It also helps non-British companies, like Spanish companies, invest in the UK. Bit of a message there, really. And it's also the body that has organized today's seminar and exhibition. My job now is to guide you through this introductory phase of about 30 minutes. Can I start with some thank yous? Thank you to all our partners who have helped organize today's events. It would not be possible without them. Thank you very much. Thank you to our speakers, moderators and exhibitors, Spanish and British, for offering their time and wisdom to the event. It wouldn't be possible without them either. But above all, thank you for coming and attending in such great numbers. We could have partners, we could have moderators and speakers, but if we didn't have an audience, then frankly, it would not be worthwhile. So the biggest thank you goes to you. Thank you. It's a lovely day outside, again. It's going to be about 20 degrees. It's February, just. It's the 29th, so guys, be careful today. But it's still February. Before we had global economic meltdown, we had global climate meltdown, or warm up. We still have it. The inconvenient truth is that glaciers are still melting faster than ever. Sea levels are still rising faster than ever. When we have sorted the economic mess we have created for ourselves, as we will eventually, might take a few years, we will still have to fix the mess we have made of our climate. That's one reason why the British government is committed to transforming the British economy into a low-carbon economy. That's the right thing to do, morally. It also makes good economic and business sense. The Stern report said that if we don't tackle climate change, it will cost us up to 20% of our GDP every year. I mean, that is nothing against what we have been doing over the last few years. If we do develop a low-carbon economy, we stand to make billions of pounds and euros. Can we afford to transition to a low-carbon economy when our existing economy is in such trouble? Answer, we really can't afford not to. We have British companies and institutions here today to explain how, in their own way, they're seeking to do that and how they can help everybody else to do the same. So let me introduce our first keynote speaker, Nick Fry. Now, Nick Fry is the CEO of Mercedes GB Petronas. He does for a living what many of us dream about doing for a hobby. He runs a Formula One team. Wow, just imagine that. Now, when I go home most evenings, my children say to me, "So what have you done today, Daddy?" And I generally can't think of anything really very exciting today that I can describe. I don't think Nick will probably have that problem. He's worked for Ford for 24 years. He then entered motorsport. And listen to this. He led the Honda Formula One team to its first victory. He led the Brawn team to the Constructors and Drivers Championship just 2 or 3 years ago with Jenson Button. and he's now running the Mercedes GB Petronas team. That means he gets to tell Michael Schumacher what to do. I think we've all wanted to do that at some point. Now, some of you may say Formula One creates climate change. It doesn't reduce it. Well, don't be dull, don't be boring about it. Life would be dull without Formula One, and it's not really true anyway. The technical demands of Formula One drives engineering, innovation, and low-carbon solutions like just about no other pursuit. And most of it comes out of Britain. 8 out of 10 of the teams are in Britain. Nick will explain more. Nick.
Good morning, everybody. I think I have a vacancy on my public relations team, and maybe Martin could come and join us, because he's obviously very enthusiastic about this. I apologise today having to speak to you in English. My last Spanish class, I think, was about 1980, so I think it would be a very short speech. In fact, maybe I should take up more Spanish. As you know, we spend a lot of time in Formula One here in Spain. We were here 3 weeks ago in Jerez, and last week in Barcelona. This week I'm here in Madrid, and later this week we're back in Barcelona, so maybe some classes would be appropriate. Thanks for your for being here today. As Martin said, I have 2 jobs in life. My day job is to be chief executive of the Formula One team, working with Michael and Nico Rosberg, with Ross Brawn, who is my technical counterpart. My evening job, if you like, is to be an investment and trade ambassador for the United Kingdom, and the idea behind that is really just to try and publicise a little bit some of the good things about the British economy, and encourage companies to export if they're British, or to work with UK companies and sell into the UK if they're from abroad. So it really is a matter of bringing people together, and clearly we do a lot of travelling in Formula One. I have the opportunity to spread the words across the world in a small way. Anyway, we're all very aware of the challenges facing the global energy provision in the 21st century, and that the energy model on which the world economy leans does need to change. The dependence on oil and gas that we've grown up with was developed in an environment completely different to today's reality. Only 1/3 of the oil we consume is replaced, and global energy consumption is, as you know, rocketing. In China alone, with annual economic growth of 10%, the last few years have seen the emergence of a middle class of energy users, which now stands at over 400 million people. In addition to the problems of finite natural resources, such increased energy consumption has significant environmental impacts. So closer to home, how can we play our part? The transition to a low-carbon economy is not just a governmental issue. Although there's plenty of room for government action to regulate, to promote, to build, to incentivise, the business community, and that's all of you in this room, must take a very clear stance and a very active role. We're seeing a significant increase in the business sectors such as low carbon energy generation and a climate change adaptation services, with the UK being, I'm pleased to say, a global leader in some of these areas today. Several of the companies that are here with us today fall within these categories. There's also opportunities in the wider economy in such as sectors as business, professional services, retail, construction, electronics, and other manufacturing sectors, and of course, automotive. With many years of career in the automotive industry, and having worked for brands such as Ford, Aston Martin, Subaru, Ferrari, Honda, and now I'm pleased to say Mercedes-Benz, I can say confidently that the pursuit of green growth is a huge driver for the sector globally. Within Formula One, there's been a big push in recent years to explore and deliver technology transfer between road and track as our sport seeks to become more environmentally friendly and socially relevant. At Mercedes-Benz, I'm pleased to say that this is already being practiced with the SLS AMG E-Cell, a very high-performance sports car whose electric powertrain will be developed as a joint venture between the AMG branch of Mercedes and our Formula One specialists in the UK, the KERS system, the energy recovery system you hear maybe spoken about on television, which is recovering braking energy and feeding that into a power system will be used on a road car. The trend can be seen in the recent growth of electric motorsports, from the Dyson all-electric sports car just launched to the zero-emission races for electric motorbikes, which takes place as part of the Isle of Man TT race week. The world's first electric race series, the EV Cup, features exclusively zero-emission electric vehicles. There are both opportunities and challenges that need to be tackled in a move to a low-carbon economy. Businesses will have to adapt to take advantage of benefits and to manage risks. Impact will be felt by sectors of the economy in different ways and to different degrees. Some sectors will see increased demand for goods and services. Some sectors will need to transform aspects of their business models to reduce their environmental impacts, while others will need to manage potential increased input costs or volatile demand. What's the UK's role in the low-carbon world, and how can we develop the important relationship between our country and Spain? The UK is the foremost European country in terms of attracting overseas investment and is number 3 in the world. We're very proud, and I think this is a little known fact, to receive more Spanish investment than all the Latin American countries combined together, with investment in strategic utilities like Scottish Power and key transport hubs such as Heathrow Airport. The UK is a prime location for companies in the low-carbon economy. Our rich heritage of invention and ingenuity is world-renowned, from the very first television, radar system, jet engine, to the development of the very first purpose-designed and built hydrogen fuel cell motorbike. The UK is a global centre for research excellence in clean and sustainable energy, with world-famous institutions like Imperial College's Energy's Futures Lab, researching carbon capture and storage, biofuel and solar panel. Spain is also a pioneer in this area, and I'm very pleased to say that as a Formula One team, we've recently signed a partnership with Isophoton, a specialist in the design, manufacture and delivery of solar energy solutions, who are based in Malaga and whose president, Diego Serrano, joins us here today. And thank you for their support. As an emerging international hub for low-carbon expertise, with a dynamic environment fostering innovation and collaboration, the UK is very well placed to lead the global shift to a low-carbon future and seize opportunities across all sectors of the global economy. Last year, the government launched a new carbon plan which highlights measures to be taken and commercial opportunities across a range of sectors, from energy to transport. To support our transition to a low-carbon economy and to help businesses make the most of opportunities, the UK is currently implementing a series of domestic policies, including low-carbon industrial strategy, the UK renewable energy strategy, and a low-carbon vehicle strategy. 2012 is a very big year for the UK, with the Diamond Jubilee for our monarch, and of course we've got the honour of hosting the Olympic Games. And we're on track to develop and to deliver a low-carbon Games through the use of groundbreaking carbon footprint methodology to inform the venue design, choice of overlay materials and procurement strategy. The London Olympic Committee has more than halved one of the largest segments of its carbon footprint, with more than 100,000 tonnes of carbon emissions avoided. Due to innovative design, the London 2012 Olympic Stadium is the lightest in Olympic history, containing less than 10,000 tons of steel. Also, in one of the biggest clean-up operations of its kind in the world, the Olympic Delivery Authority cleaned and reused hundreds of thousands of tons of soil to create new open green spaces in London, the largest planting project ever undertaken in the UK's history. The UK has an excellent track record in the automotive sector, with particular strengths in advanced combustion engines, new and lightweight materials, and innovative and niche vehicles. Outstanding vehicles like the Nissan Leaf are being manufactured, and electric vehicle infrastructures are already in place, not just being talked about in cities like London, Milton Keynes, and of course Newcastle. The UK has great low carbon products to sell. We've got a very skilled workforce. We have a very strong market for your products. But beyond that, what we want to do is business with you. We've got a very supportive government, good representative here, and they're going to facilitate that process. Times of economic difficulty also provide the very best opportunity for the entrepreneurial and for the brave. We can help you develop your business by bringing together the expertise of our two countries, and we've got the opportunity to work together, not only to sell products to each other, but also together win business in other parts of the world. Together, I'm sure we can move to a future which is not only more sustainable, but also more prosperous. Well, thank you very much for your time. I hope today's seminar will promote the excellence of the British suppliers with low carbon products, but also encourage Spanish companies to do business with and in the UK. I look forward to speaking to some of you later. Thank you very much indeed.
And just to stress that Nick is here throughout, so if you do want to talk to him about the UK's capability in advanced engineering,
Fernando Alonso.
Coming to that, about the business first, about UK capability in advanced engineering, low carbon engineering, etc., or Fernando Alonso, what he's really like, and how he really likes Mr. Hamilton and he vice versa and so on. Do take the opportunity of the morning. Our next speaker is Elisa Barahona, who is the Director General for Sustainability at the Madrid City Council. Elisa is a scientist by background, but she's also spent a great deal of time representing Spain in some of the world's most important environmental negotiations, leading to some of the world's most important environmental conclusions, agreements on biodiversity, the UN Protocol on Biosecurity, and the World Summit on Sustainability in 2002. Elisa is going to explain Madrid's low-carbon initiatives. Elisa.
Bueno, muy buenos días a todos. Good morning to everybody. Primero de todo, me gustaría agradecer a los organizadores que nos hayan dado la oportunidad al Ayuntamiento de Madrid de venir a explicar cuál ha sido la evolución y cuáles son las políticas e instrumentos de los que nos servimos para haber conseguido en los 10 últimos años una evolución muy positiva hacia una economía baja en carbono en esta ciudad. Como todos sabemos, las ciudades ahora mismo tienen una importancia muy grande en el tema del cambio climático, puesto que desde el 2007 más del 50% de la población vive en las ciudades, que consumen prácticamente el 75% de la energía del mundo y son responsables a su vez de más del 75% de las emisiones de gases de efecto invernadero. Bueno, en el caso de Madrid, esta evolución ha sido posible porque gracias a la disminución de las emisiones en los dos sectores más contaminantes que son y que contribuyen en un 75%, que son el transporte por carretera y el sector comercial, residencial, comercial e institucional. Los instrumentos de los que nos valemos han sido fundamentalmente, creo que el tema de la preocupación de una ciudad como Madrid por la calidad del aire ha sido muy importante y ha ayudado muchísimo a atender a una economía baja en carbono, puesto puesto que desde hace muchos años se viene trabajando en mejorar la misma. En cuanto al CO2, realmente ahora mismo tenemos unas tasas muy buenas. Madrid tiene una tasa de 4,5 toneladas por habitante y año de CO2, cuando la media de las ciudades europeas es de 10, con lo cual creo que nos podemos felicitar por haber sido capaces de desacoplar o tender a desacoplar en los últimos 10 años el crecimiento económico con la reducción de las emisiones, ¿no? Y las emisiones, o con el tema del medio ambiente. Bueno, los documentos estratégicos de los que nos hemos servido son, aparte de la política sobre calidad del aire que digo, en los últimos años el plan de uso sostenible de la energía y prevención del cambio climático del 2006 a 2010, no, perdón, esa es la estrategia de calidad del aire. El plan de uso sostenible de la energía y prevención del cambio climático se adoptó en el año 2008, está todavía en vigor. Contiene 55 medidas y una inversión de 101 millones de euros. En el último informe de seguimiento hemos visto que ha sido aplicado, o sea, ya realmente se ha cumplido, se ha aplicado en un 96%, incluso cuando termina su vigencia a finales de este año. Otro documento muy importante que está ahora mismo en tramitación, pero por otro lado ya podemos decir que se está aplicando, es el Plan de Calidad del Aire de la ciudad 2011-2015. Este plan tiene dos objetivos muy importantes. Por un lado, dar continuidad a la política de prevención y de disminución de las emisiones en la ciudad, o sea, dar continuidad a la estrategia que estaba en vigor, y por otro lado, dar sentido y presentar la solicitud de la prórroga que es necesario pedir en la mayoría de las ciudades europeas por el no cumplimiento con los niveles de contaminantes tan estrictos que ha establecido la Directiva 2008-50. Como sabemos, el tema de las ciudades europeas fundamentalmente se debe, o el problema que tienen, es la dieselización, que es lo que se denomina ahora mismo del parque automovilístico. O sea, tenemos que el parque automovilístico se ha invertido realmente en los últimos años, dando lugar a que realmente los mayores responsables de la tecnología diésel, hasta no entren en vigor los Euro 6, ¿no? Los vehículos Euro 6, que serían mucho más respetuosos con la calidad del aire. Lo que es muy importante, y creo que hasta ahora no se ha hecho, es que los gobiernos adopten políticas coordinadas. O sea, no podemos estar diciendo a los ciudadanos que son muy buenos unos vehículos que emiten muy poco CO2, pero que por otro lado están emitiendo más emisiones, o sea, más óxidos de nitrógeno. Es muy importante hacer políticas coordinadas, porque no podemos estar vendiendo, por ejemplo, el supervehículo EcoDrive y que luego, cuando un ciudadano llegue con su coche al centro de cualquier ciudad española o de cualquier ciudad europea, le vayan a penalizar por tener una tecnología más contaminante. Otro instrumento muy importante del que nos hemos valido para alcanzar esta tendencia, que como digo llevamos en los 10 últimos años, bueno, como todos saben, habitualmente las ciudades eran meros consumidores de energía, pagaban su factura eléctrica y punto. A raíz de la necesidad y sobre todo a partir del Pacto de los Alcaldes, que ha sido un compromiso muy importante para todas las ciudades, que ha establecido la propia Comisión Europea, o sea, la Comisión, cuando habitualmente su canal de conexión es exclusivamente los Estados, debido al tema del cambio climático y la importancia que las ciudades tienen para el mismo, estableció el Pacto de los Alcaldes. El Pacto de los Alcaldes ha sido asumido ya por cerca de 500 ciudades europeas y tiene una gran importancia porque supone un compromiso de todas las ciudades de ir más allá de los objetivos europeos. Bueno, pues a raíz de esto, la mayoría de las ciudades se tuvieron que plantear el hecho de adoptar una política energética. En el caso de Madrid, pues creamos la Agencia de la Energía, que es la que se encarga de hacer el seguimiento de las políticas energéticas del Ayuntamiento. ¿Cómo? Pues con dos instrumentos muy útiles, como son la elaboración del balance de emisiones de la ciudad, que se hace todos los años, y la elaboración del inventario de emisiones. Como comentaba antes Nick Fry, evidentemente el lograr una economía baja en carbono no depende solamente de los gobiernos, sino que es una tarea de todos. En ese sentido, nosotros también hemos establecido un mecanismo que yo creo que es muy interesante de colaboración con el sector privado, que es el Foro Proclima Madrid, en el que actualmente trabajan más de 55 grandes empresas responsables de o presentes en todos los sectores económicos más importantes del país. Entonces, el foro Proclima no tiene estatutos ni tiene absolutamente ningún tipo de administrativa. Lo único que hace es adoptar acuerdos voluntarios y trabajar de una forma muy interesante con las empresas. Hasta la fecha se han adoptado 3 acuerdos, o sea, conjuntamente el ayuntamiento y todas estas empresas que comento. El primero de ellos fue de renovación de las flotas por vehículos más ecológicos, de manera que estamos promoviendo una movilidad más sostenible en toda la ciudad gracias a esa colaboración conjunta. El segundo acuerdo que adoptaron fue uno de eficiencia energética para hacerles conscientes de la importancia que todas estas empresas tienen, evidentemente adoptando sus propios compromisos, y otro compromiso tercero sobre compra sostenible. Nosotros pensamos que es muy importante integrar la política de economía baja en carbono en todas las políticas, lógicamente, que lleva a cabo el municipio o que desarrolla un país, evidentemente. Además de los instrumentos que estoy comentando, lógicamente contamos con unas líneas de actuación que van por políticas. Creo que una de las más importantes es la política de movilidad sostenible. Nosotros hemos establecido, creemos que es muy importante integrar todas las formas de movilidad alternativa en lo que es la movilidad tradicional de una ciudad. Entonces, en ese sentido, hemos establecido un apoyo al desarrollo de tecnologías más eficientes. ¿Cómo? Pues por un lado, por ejemplo, promoviendo el vehículo eléctrico. Para ello hemos creado también un foro de vehículo eléctrico con todas las empresas que aportan, o sea, que suministran la energía, las empresas suministradoras de la energía, las empresas fabricantes o todos los fabricantes de los automóviles y otro tipo de empresas para ver cómo podemos llegar no solamente a la incorporación de más vehículos eléctricos en la ciudad a través de ellas, sino cómo podemos llegar a los ciudadanos, ¿no?, a otros sectores de la sociedad. En este sentido, no solamente con el vehículo eléctrico, hemos hecho también acuerdos para promover combustibles alternativos. Por ejemplo, con Repsol tenemos un acuerdo para promover el autogás en la ciudad de Madrid. Tenemos otro, acabamos de sacar un concurso para establecer gasineras, porque queremos promover, como he dicho antes, todos estos tipos de movilidad que son respetuosos con ambos elementos, es decir, con el tema de la calidad del aire y con el tema del cambio climático, porque pensamos que es la forma, o sea, el hecho de adoptar políticas coordinadas. Además, en la promoción de las políticas alternativas o de las formas de movilidad alternativas, uno de los elementos muy importantes es la movilidad ciclista y la movilidad peatonal. En cuanto a movilidad ciclista, el Ayuntamiento cuenta también con un plan director del 2008 al 2016, en el marco del cual pues, estamos desarrollando nuestra política. Incluso en estos momentos de una fuerte crisis económica, seguimos apostando por ello. Hasta ahora ya la Ciudad de Madrid cuenta con 267 kilómetros de carril bici y tenemos el compromiso de continuar con esta tendencia. De hecho, en el 2012 se va a incorporar un nuevo carril muy importante, que es el más demandado por toda la sociedad o por todas las asociaciones ciclistas, fundamentalmente, que es el eje Mayor-Alcalá, para dar conexión a lo que es toda la zona de Madrid-Río con el carril de O'Donnell. Y yo creo y todos pensamos que realmente esto va a cambiar totalmente la situación de la movilidad en la ciudad, porque el hecho de que haya un carril que atraviesa toda la ciudad por la zona más céntrica, pues es muy importante. En cuanto a la movilidad peatonal, que estamos en la actualidad desarrollando una estrategia, creo que ya se han llevado a cabo muchas iniciativas en este sentido, como es la creación de las áreas de prioridad residencial, que son muy importantes para pacificar, lógicamente, el tráfico o para eliminar todos aquellos viajes que no tienen ni origen ni destino en determinadas zonas de la ciudad, para facilitar la convivencia. Lo más importante, desde nuestro punto de vista, es recuperar la ciudad para los ciudadanos. Entonces, tiene mucha importancia para la movilidad peatonal todo lo que es la ampliación de aceras, lo que es la peatonalización de zonas comerciales, que tienen unas repercusiones muy importantes, muy interesantes para la economía y que además facilitan al ciudadano disfrutar la ciudad de otra manera. Lo importante de todo esto, como decimos en el plan de calidad del aire, que es el que actualmente y en esta legislatura va a pivotar la política, es integrar esta política en todas las demás. Es decir, integrarla tanto en la política fiscal, por ejemplo, con todas las ventajas fiscales que se les está otorgando ahora mismo a los vehículos eléctricos, en cuanto a estar exentos del pago del impuesto de circulación, el poder aparcar libremente en toda la ciudad, puesto que están exentos del sistema de estacionamiento regulado, no solo exentos en cuanto al pago, sino en cuanto al tiempo. En cuanto al sistema de estacionamiento regulado, creo que va a haber una revolución total con los nuevos contratos. Se van a hacer mucho más eficientes y mucho más justos, en el sentido de que no va a pagar todo el mundo lo mismo y no se va a pagar lo mismo según las zonas, sino que la idea es que cada uno pague según la tecnología de su vehículo, el nivel de contaminación de la zona y el nivel de gestión de la misma. O sea, no queremos que sea un instrumento recaudador, ni mucho menos, porque de hecho no lo es, puesto que prácticamente es lo comido por lo servido. O sea, el coste del servicio prácticamente se compensa con la recaudación del mismo, sino que queremos que sea un instrumento que nos ayude más en esta política, ¿no? A incorporar esta política. Bueno, quería señalar también que evidentemente tenemos una política muy importante en cuanto a la edificación. Estamos en cuanto a la política urbanística igualmente, o sea, en cuanto a la edificación, la empresa municipal de la vivienda tiene unas consideraciones muy claras de tender en todas sus actuaciones a la política baja en carbono, haciendo incluso comunidades de vecinos que suministran o que se abastecen gracias a energía geotérmica, en fin, con controladores de todos los consumos, o sea, temas muy interesantes, creo yo. En la política urbanística se está integrando otras consideraciones de sostenibilidad. De hecho, ahora mismo, en el año 2011, se ha iniciado la revisión del Plan General de Ordenación Urbana y una de las mesas más importantes es la mesa de sostenibilidad. Bueno, pues con esto creo haber dado una visión general de lo que es la política o las líneas de actuación y los instrumentos con los que contamos en la ciudad de Madrid. Muchísimas gracias por estar aquí y por escucharme.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed for that vision of what's going to happen in Madrid and some of the headlines of the practical initiative and instruments available for improving the low-cost environment of low-carbon environment of Madrid. Thank you. Our next speaker, last keynote speaker, is Dr. John Henderson. John's background is in polymer science and the chemical industry generally. He runs the Environmental Sustainability Knowledge Transfer Network in the UK. That's a bit of a mouthful. I'll let John explain what it is, but what I will say is that if you're trying to work out what exciting things are happening in the UK in that rather intriguing space between the academic world, research and business, the knowledge transfer networks, the KTNs as we call them in the UK, are the people to know. John's going to talk about low carbon initiatives in the UK with particular reference to cities. John.
Thank you very much, Martin, for that introduction. I am absolutely delighted to be here representing the Environmental Sustainability Knowledge Transfer Network today. And you are right, it is indeed a mouthful, so that's why I will probably say ESKTN from here on in. And I'm especially glad to do this in the historic city of Madrid. Great cities have always been the heartbeat of great nations, be they seats of culture, power or learning, or engine rooms of wealth and productivity. Our cities are the foundries in which our greatest accomplishments are cast. Our cities are where it's at, and it's where people want to be. In 2008, for the first time, more of the world's population lived in cities than in the countryside. And by 2050, more than 70% of the global population will be city dwellers. However, our cities are already struggling with problems like the local effects of climate change, demographic changes, congestion, healthcare provision, and pressure on key resources. As we collectively face up to the challenge of rethinking how we can provide a decent quality of life for over 9 billion people within the boundaries of one planet, rethinking our cities will have to be at the core of our response. The theme of today's low-carbon event relates directly to the requirements of sustainable urban environments. Enlightened regeneration, clean and energy-efficient ways of living and getting about, and underpinning intelligent systems to enable all these things to come together. However, we must never forget that the urban environment doesn't exist in isolation from the rest of the environment. The pain of the resource pinch points and environmental impacts upon extra-urban systems, which the world's farmers, mineral processors, manufacturers and others are already feeling, is ultimately shared by everyone who depends upon their output. The Environmental Sustainability KTN was established by the United Kingdom's Technology Strategy Board to stimulate innovation and accelerate the transition to a low-carbon, resource and energy-efficient economy. We have an active community of over 5,000 members, over half of whom are business innovators in this space, and we greatly welcome international participation in our network. So I will be absolutely delighted to explain more to anyone over at my table in the back of the room later on. But our job is basically to link businesses, universities, research organisations and government agencies, and to encourage the effective use of local, national and international support mechanisms for innovation. Our four main themes are sustainable water management, sustainable energy, particularly in relation to local and distributed renewable energy and energy from waste, sustainable land management and food production, and resource efficiency and the concept of waste as a resource. I referred earlier to resource pinch points, and these can often be traced out in our on-the-ground activities. Critical materials are an example of this. Accessible reserves of many key minerals, such as the so-called EU critical 14 metals, are not only uncomfortably finite, but the choice of supply is often severely limited and subject to geopolitical uncertainties. China has increasingly asserted its dominance in many supply chains through the acquisition of stocks and its export control policies. And what are these at-risk materials used for? The answer is pretty much all the things upon which our visions of sustainable, low-carbon futures are built. Rare earth metals, for example, are found in electronics goods, wind turbines, and hybrid vehicles. Cobalt is in lithium-ion batteries and synthetic fuels. Gallium and indium are used in LED displays and thin-layer photovoltaic cells. And platinum group metals are used as catalysts in fuel cells and seawater desalination plants. And it isn't just critical materials that are going critical. While the European Commission is currently banning phosphates in laundry detergents due to concerns over water eutrophication, we are ironically threatened with global exhaustion of phosphate stocks in an estimated 50 to 75 years. Phosphorus is, in the memorable turn of phrase of the Times newspaper, being mined, used and wasted as never before. Phosphates aren't inherently bad. Eutrophication, the uncontrolled algal growth on bodies of water, is effectively the result of having too much of a vital metabolite in the wrong place at the wrong time. Detergent containing effluent plays a role in this, but so too do phosphates washed off the land. Applying a scarce element like this in excess to our fields, directly or via livestock, only for it to end up damaging watercourses, just isn't resource efficient, to put it mildly. However, there's a hopeful thought in this tale which I think helps us get round to answering that tricky question, what are we going to do about it all? For phosphorus, like most minerals, and unlike oil, which Nick, understandably, as a good petrol head, referred to earlier, is not irretrievably lost after it's consumed. Rather, its fate is to be distributed diffusely through the environment. It's difficult to get our hands on, yes, but not impossible. Similar fates await rare earth and precious metal resources in end-of-life electronics and consumer goods. Thanks to car exhaust emissions, for instance, the road sweepings in the city of Birmingham in the UK have been shown to be richer in precious metals than in many commercially mined seams. Such opportunities for resource recovery are being taken up by innovators in the UK and elsewhere. Examples include technology developed under TSB funding for the recovery of indium and other useful materials from disassembled liquid crystal displays. A cutting-edge energy from waste park currently being built in South Wales, and Genico's BioBug demonstrator car, which has successfully shown how waste-derived biogas can be used to power domestic hybrid vehicles. In the construction arena, carbonate systems are utilising accelerated carbonation to stabilise waste and create new aggregates, while Novacem have developed a carbon-negative cement based on magnesium oxide and magnesium carbonate. Other innovations deliver energy-efficient performance in engineering components that underpin many low-carbon technologies. HIMAG Solutions' lightweight, high-efficiency planar transducers are used in electric and hybrid vehicles, solar panels, and aerospace applications, while Versarian versatile materials have exploited the novel properties of porous copper to produce a revolutionary heat transfer material for cooling systems in servers, workstations, and power conditioning equipment. As well as the evident materials and weight savings of a porous form, porous copper heat sinks can cool 3 to 10 times more effectively than a similar microchannel-based device. We're working cooperatively to build momentum for innovation in several areas prioritised by the Technology Strategy Board for cross-disciplinary focus. A materials special interest group is helping businesses to understand the risks of potential supply constraints and to develop life cycle-based approaches for the better management of their supply chains. With the Modern Built Environment KTN, who are also represented here today, we've established an active community in sustainable urban drainage systems, or SUDS, as they're more memorably known, a concept that includes long-term environmental and social factors in decisions about drainage, taking account of the quantity and quality of water runoff and the amenity value of surface value in the urban environment. The Technology Strategy Board announced in January that it will establish a new catapult centre for the digital economy. This will bring together expertise to develop, test and apply new technologies in areas such as distribution of digital media, pervasive digital services, and the blending of digital and physical worlds, looking at how objects such as cars, clothes, and consumer goods can become better connected, enhance our lives, and create new business opportunities. Finally, and returning to where I started, a Future Cities Special Interest Group is helping establish the context for a planned £25 million demonstrator competition, which will aim to show how we can deliver economic vitality, quality of life, and a lower environmental footprint to put the citizen at the heart of the city. The potential rewards are substantial. The accessible market for integrated city systems has been estimated to be worth well more than €2 billion a year by 2030. I'm greatly looking forward to finding out more over the course of the day about ways that British and Spanish innovators can work together to maximise the gains. So please do drop by for a chat. Thank you very much indeed.
And as John said, he's going to be here throughout the day and participating in one of the panel debates. So if you do want to know more about porous copper heat sinks, or the relationship between the virtual and the physical worlds, he's here to explain it. I will certainly be asking a little more about that. Thank you very much for your attention. That's the context of today. The seminar is now going to transform into 2 debate panels, and Fernando is going to remind you of how.
Muchas gracias. Para acabar, algunos de los conceptos que se han comentado en los discursos de hoy los vamos a desarrollar, como dice Martin, en 4 sesiones temáticas a partir de ahora. Las 2 primeras están convocadas ya, de modo que casi les sugiero que cojan ustedes un café al vuelo y se dividan. Detrás de mí, detrás de nosotros, hay una sala que se llama Toledo. En esa sala va a tener lugar la sesión sobre transporte sostenible y con especial hincapié en el vehículo eléctrico, incluso en la infraestructura de carga de vehículo eléctrico. Está moderada por Arturo Pérez de Lucía, que es el presidente de una asociación específica en España, EDIVE, para la infraestructura del vehículo eléctrico. En la sala Escorial Centro, se llama, esta es la Escorial Norte, en el pasillo a su derecha, con algo más de espacio, la primera sesión, ahora a las 10 o 10 y 10, el tiempo que tardemos en desplazarnos. La sesión allí es sobre regeneración urbana, es un tema que ha tocado la señora Barahona en especial, y todo lo que se entiende alrededor de ese concepto, y está moderada por el arquitecto Luis Vidal, de modo que, como les digo, les invito a coger un café al vuelo, dividirse en las sesiones de su interés, y recordarles que luego, entre las sesiones que empiezan ahora y las que tendrán lugar a las 12, en este espacio siempre serviremos un café y tienen la oportunidad ustedes de hablar con los ponentes o con las empresas. Buenos días, muchas gracias.